He was like, man, at the beginning of last season, people were like, holy shit, who is this kid? Because he went like 0-6 or sorry, other way around, 6-0 or something, or 7-0, and he was basically just the only one keeping up with Flash in a perfect record win rate. Anyway, so it's going to be a TVZ to start off. So already I'm a little bit disappointed because we don't have a mirror matchup. So, like, I don't know what's going on here. Some kind of match fixing. This is not the Pro League that I came here to watch. I demand my mirror matchups right now. Anyway, as you can see on the statistics, by the way, Terran doing pretty well on this map against Zerg, which is quite funny because last season Terran did really well against Zerg on this map. And so, you know, they made a bunch of changes to help Zerg, like, you know, take away the cliff behind the natural, make the natural more easily harassable by mutas, and yet somehow it's still good for Terran. So I don't know what's up with that. Anyway. Last seemed a little bit nervous. He's like trying to smile, but he's just like all psyched. And looks like we have the lovely Korean female commentator here. As I said, they switch between the two series, which commentating team they use. So each team really only casts. Well, actually no, the Marine was here last time as well, so he's casting both series because he's like a real man. He's the Marine, so he's not like these wimpy casters who can't cast for more than like 4 hours. Alright, game number 1. In the bottom right corner as the purple Zerg, we will have Peace playing for Air Force Ace. Slightly ironic name now that I think about it, considering he is in the military. But there it is. I suppose you could say that's why he has that name. And in the bottom left, as the blue Terran, we will have Last, who has been doing quite poorly in Brood War this season for some reason. And TBZ also is his weakest matchup, or at least it was last season. So Peace could definitely pull off a win here, I think. Although I guess the map does favor Last. And the horizontal spawns, I think, are also a little bit annoying for Zerg. I mean, I think like the Zerg would much prefer vertical spawns on this map because then your naturals are facing each other. It's a lot you can get the muta harass over there a lot quicker, and it's a lot easier to pull the mutas back to defend your base if he does go for some kind of medic marine counter push. So Peace not gonna be too happy about these spawns, but I think it's fine. Should not be too big of a deal. Anyway, nothing out of the ordinary coming just yet from either player. But we do see the Overlord heading over to Last natural as expected, going to the further away natural first. Very standard move now in ZBT. And we do see the 12 patch from Peace. Very standard openers. We do see a barracks in Last base as well, so presumably well, no, never mind. He's actually going for a gas here. I was going to say presumably going for a 1-rack expand, but actually going for the gas. Now it's a little bit interesting here. Normally when you go for a tech build off one base, you try and wall yourself in because well, two reasons. First of all, if you're lucky and he doesn't drone scout you in time, you can block off the drone scout so he doesn't know what you're doing. And second of all, you don't want to make too many Marines earlier on when you're going for a tech build. You want to be spending your money elsewhere on your factory and your starport or whatever the hell you're making. So, teching players usually try and get only 1 or 2 Marines, and obviously if you have a link-tight wall with Marines behind it, that's very, very useful. Now, I'm not actually sure if you can make a link-tight wall in that position, so that might be part of the reason why he's not trying to do that. But either way, we do see the factory on the way now, and the first Marine out. And the SCV Scout, of course, checking everything checking out what the Zerg is doing. I believe Peace has actually just got his gas already, so he's going for some kind of 2-hatch build here, which should do quite nicely against whatever whatever Last is doing. Yeah, he's actually going for straight for Lair here. So usually this means 2-hatch Muta, but we can. I mean, you do occasionally see some kind of weird lurker busts. And STV sees everything though, so he'll probably work on the assumption of Mutalisks for now. And we actually do see 2 guys pulled off gas, so this means it's going to be a 1 factory into fast expand. It's going to get 1 Vulture to help deny any Zergling attacks, and then just get, that's how he's going to get his expansion up safely. So it's kind of different. So the dynamic now in the mid game is a little bit different from like a 1-rack expand. When you go for 1-rack, okay, that's interesting. Cancel the machine shop there. I'm not sure what he was intending in the first place, but when you go for a 1-rack expand, you are much more defensive. So you make a few Marines, you make a bunker, and that's how you defend against the early link pressure. Whereas with when you go for a factory expand, you are actually the one putting pressure on the Zerg. You having the Vulture out basically allows you to kill almost any number of Zerglings, provided they don't have speed. And so the Zerg player, you know, he either has to pull back all the way to his main, or he just loses all of these Zerglings. So then instead of him kind of camping outside your base, outside your natural, you're the one with the Vulture kind of camping outside his natural and denying him from any information, which is quite nice. But of course that does delay your expansion by a little bit. And we did see, I think we did see a Spire there for Peace, so it is going to be 2-hatch Mutas. And just now getting his second gas as well. And this is actually quite nice. I mean, the thing is, you know, when you go for a 2-hatch Muta against like just a 1-rack expander, you can sometimes be at slight risk from, you know, some kind of early Marine attack, some early Marine pressure, because, you know, you're basically sacrificing some economy compared to like a 3-hatch opener to go for this much faster Mutalisk play. So so you really don't want to be like making sunken colonies and whatnot. So you know, it can be a little bit dangerous for a 2-hatcher, but in this case, because you know he sees there's just a couple of Vultures out. I mean, he still does want the sunken though to stop Vultures from running into his base, because the Zerglings will kind of distract the Vultures a little bit, but you know the Vultures are able to micro down almost infinite numbers of Zerglings. But he's not really scared of any kind of crazy early Marine medic bust here. And well, it looks like, oh, nice little sneak around by Peace. Unfortunately, 4 Marines blocking the top of the ramp here, so he's just going to go for the SCV line. The Vulture's actually coming back. The Vultures actually do have speed now. They're going to reveal their speed here to these Zerglings. I don't think that Last wanted to do this, really. I mean, if he'd been able to not show that, he could have actually left the 3 Vultures right outside Peace's natural, waited for the Mutas to go out, and then like run the Vultures into the main base with speed and kill a bunch of drones. That would have been such a huge move. But right now, Peace knows about these, so he's probably going to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more defensive, make sure to block his ramp and prevent that kind of run by. And he does have his first Mutas out, but Last also does have the first Goliath. And looks like the first turret is barely going to be in time here. Those Mutas, can they actually take out the Spores? There's 4 Marines and a Goliath here. I don't think that was a good idea. Well, actually, he's going to take a couple of these Marines. The Vulture actually now running into the natural. Of course, the Lings blocking the top of the ramp means that most of the Vultures do get taken down by the Sunken. That last Vulture is going to get taken down while only killing, I think, just 1 or 2 drones there and a couple of Zerglings. What was I going to say? Bleh. Oh yes, so this is actually quite cool here. So going Goliath Marine, by the way, is actually something like a kind of an interesting strategy that I think did Flash invent it? I don't know. It was probably Flash. Like, of all the Terrans, I think your safest bet is to go with Flash if you're not sure. So I'm going to say Flash invented this thing where you can go Goliath Marine against Mutas, and basically what happens is if you get range for the Goliaths, they don't do quite as much damage to the Marines to Mutas, but they have such long range so it's very difficult to like Muta harass because the Goliaths shoot you from so far away. But then if the Mutas go in and try and snipe the Goliaths, your Marines have such high DPS against the Mutas that, you know, it's just very painful for them as well. So it's kind of like a really cool style here, but I'm not really sure if he's going to continue the Marine production too much here. Mainly focusing on the Goliaths. Yeah, he has got both factories, so he is going for just some standard mech, it seems, not going for that hybrid style, even though it is quite cool to see. And in the meantime, the Zerg is getting his third base. Of course, the downside of the hybrid style is that you can't really upgrade both your bio and your mech. so it's more focused around like the mid-game timings and whatnot. Anyway, looks like Last is going to stabilize here without taking too much damage from the Mutas. And having gone for this pure mech here, essentially what the Zerg wants to do is just expand like crazy and just out-macro the Terran, because Terran mech is extremely cost-efficient, far more cost-efficient than the Zerg can possibly hope to be when engaging it. So the main style, the main way to counter this is to just go mass expand and mass Hydra and Muta, and just kind of outproduce your opponent, and just accept the fact that you're going to lose a lot more than he is. Meanwhile, continue to just fly around with these Mutas. By the way, if you're wondering why he does those little loop-de-loops with the Mutas, he's not just like goofing around and like, you know, showing off. He's actually making sure that the Mutas stay stacked, because if your Mutas stop for any amount of time, they will start to spread out. As we can see there, they're not quite stacked on top of each other anymore. So if you just like jiggle them around in circles a little bit, they'll actually stack up a lot better. Another way to do that is just to have them all move to one mineral patch, and then they'll all stack up on one place, and that's also quite handy. Anyway, it's like, it's like that vulture who sees the third base. And it looks like besides a little bit of light vulture harass, oh my goodness, we're actually having a back tech into bio here. Wow. So is he actually doing the Goliath Marine style that I was talking about? Oh my goodness. Wow, thank you Last for making me look awesome. Oh, this is so cool. This is like the reverse of what usually happens, you know? It usually happens like you're trying to call something, you're trying to predict what the player does, and he does something completely different just to make you look stupid. Because, you know, these players are very mean-spirited, they don't like us commentators, so they try to make us look dumb. But in this case, Last is actually, he's a good guy. I like this, good guy Last, making me look right, making me look smart. And this is going to be so cool as well because, Jaehoon, what the hell? Peace, rather. Peace is not going to have any idea this is coming. The reason I think of Jaehoon, by the way, is because Lita actually did something very similar to this against Jaehoon on Jade, I believe, where he did like a back tech into bio, and Jaehoon had absolutely no idea and was still on mass Hydra and just got crushed. Because the unit composition that you want as a Zerg against bio and mech is completely different. Against bio, you want like Lurker Ling, essentially, as your core army. Until you get to Hive Tech, and then but against Mech you want Hydra Muta, but Hydras are not good at all against Medic Marine. So Last could actually hit a really sick timing here where he just attacks with a whole bunch of Medic Marine, and Peace doesn't have any lurkers and just completely crumbles. And I think that's actually what's going to happen here because he's way too focused on the meter harass without actually realizing what's going on. The only good thing for him is actually he hasn't taken a fourth base yet. Usually when you're facing a meching player, you expand a little bit more aggressively than this. So he hasn't overextended himself too much. He's got his Hydra upgrades now, as you can see there, the speed on those Hydras. But I don't know, maybe he can be okay. He's still pretty close in supply, 75 supply for Peace against the 89 supply of Last. Zerg is generally a little bit behind, always. He does have +1 attack as well for his range. No upgrades yet for Last. So that could also play a pretty big role. And well, looks like now a fourth base is being taken by Peace. It's probably, I mean, he doesn't really want that now that there's a back tech into bio, but he still has no idea. Look at this, Last is doing such a good job denying all scouting with his Goliaths while just massing up this big bio force in his main base. And the thing is, a mech player usually plays very defensively anyway until they get a decent core of units out. And the thing is, the mech style is usually to turtle up onto 3 bases also. So, you know, just by being this defensive, sometimes it can be an indication that your opponent's doing something tricky. But in this case, I really don't think there's any indication to Peace that something is wrong here. Unless he had some kind of crazy Flash-like game sense. Maybe Flash would realize, but now he sees it. Now Peace sees all the Marines running out. Now he knows he needs the Lurker Tech. Did he happen to get the Lurker Tech, though? That is the question. Even though he didn't make any Lurkers, he might have gotten the Lurker Tech just in case, or just to make a few Lurkers to harass and whatnot, but he's not morphing any Lurkers, which is exactly what he needs right now. So I'm not sure what he's going to do. He looks like he's just going to counterattack with the Hydras, or is he just setting up a flank? No, it looks like he is just setting up a flank. Okay, yeah, he's just going to try and get a surround on this army, but Well, actually, no, the Hydras are moving towards last natural here. He might actually just go for a base trade. He's using his mutas to snipe these siege tanks before the Hydras get in here. He's just not even going to bother trying to defend this third base. And there we go, the counterattack here. The siege tanks are down. There's not enough to defend against these Hydras. And oh my goodness, a crazy decision by Peace. I can't believe it. I actually don't know what's going to happen now, because usually what we see is the Zerg just tries to defend, and in this case would be completely unsuccessful. But this kind of base trade situation, I don't know. I don't even understand. Like, he's actually killing everything in the natural here. The natural's forced to lift. This could actually work. This could actually work, and he's going in to the main with the mutas and the Hydras. The Marine's going to do a good job here against these mutas, but the Hydras killing off everything. Looks like he has pulled a few units back, but unsieged and out of position. The Hydras will work decently, although it looks like, oh man, he's running out of units now in this counterattack. He's done a decent amount of damage, but is it going to be enough though? I mean, another crucial thing is that he's buying time for himself to macro up some more units to also change his unit composition, but oh man, these mutas getting caught out a little bit by the Goliaths. Looks like he's just going to engage. He does have +1 carapace for the mutas. That is very, very effective against the Goliaths, of course, because each individual Goliath rocket is counted separately, so it's applied twice. And the damage types also favor the mutas. It looks like the last of the units are going to get cleaned up in the main base, though. And the thing is, even though Peace lost his third, he does have that fourth base at the top right. I feel like maybe if he had been planning to go for this the whole time, he probably should have saved some of the drones from the 3 o'clock and sent them over to the fourth. But instead, you know, he did lose a good number of drones there, in addition to losing that base. I'm really not sure if he's going to have enough to now stop the attack once again. He has gotten some lurkers, though. He has gotten lurkers. That's a crucial thing. And now the mutas are moving into the main once again. This is actually a very, very smart move by Peace here. He just wants to try and force the army back here. If he can actually get that comsat, there's going to be no mobile detection to see the lurkers, because he did kill everything in the natural. I'm pretty sure the natural has no comsat now. And if he can kill that comsat, yeah, the observer's trying to show us that if he kills that comsat, that'll be crazy. But unfortunately for him, this is the first lurker does go down here. The muta is now going into the main base. There's a couple of Marines to defend, but not enough. And it looks, this is just such a scrappy game here. Last looks like he's being really taxed on his multitask. His army control is kind of faltering a little bit. His army's just running around every which way, and these mutas are continuing to do damage here. Peace actually playing a really, really nice game, but I don't know, these mutas, oh man, they're taking so much damage now. He's got to be really, really careful. These mutas are really keeping him alive. Oh man, Peace looks like he's also failing in his own multitask. He's not borrowing his lurkers. He's not borrowing the lurkers. Borrow the lurkers, man. No lurkers. Oh god, alright, he keeps the lurkers alive. The mutas are still doing damage, and look at this, the Hydras are coming in now as well. Peace is doing relentless counter-aggression here, but I don't know if that's going to be enough though, because he's not going to be able to hold on to his natural here, and will probably lose his main base soon after. I wonder if he should just sack his natural and just run back up into the main. I don't know, I think either way, he's in quite a bit of trouble here. I mean, oh, it looks like a few tanks getting ahead of themselves there, but Peace just doesn't have enough stuff left. Oh no, this is not going to work. This is not going to work at all. A well-placed scan is going to see all those lurkers, and oh no, one Marine and one tank going to kill all the drones at the top right. I think Peace is really hurting right now. He's down 25 supply. He's losing all of his units. He's losing his natural. He's, well, it looks like he sent a few links up to the third there at the top right. Or I guess that's the fourth, since the third died, but even if he saves that, you can see he's losing everything in his natural. Bringing the mutas back for a last-ditch attack. But that's going to be GG. He's down to 20 supply. So Peace, GG's, but very well played. I must say, I'm very impressed by Peace's play there. He's obviously not the most, or not the best player on Ace, not the most experienced. He's only had a couple of games this season, and yet he played quite a cool TV or ZVT there against Last. Very, very interesting. That's a really interesting idea there, just to go for that kind of base trade. That's almost like a, you know, an SE2 kind of idea where, you know, the Zerg just goes mutiling and he's like, well, if I can't kill your army straight up, I'll just go kill all your buildings.
SPL 서울 김태훈 선수가 분위기를 잘 만들었습니다만